First of all, Coach, welcome back to Atlanta.
Thank
You were
you.
here with us a little bit before, but when you heard from what we now know was Kyle Korver reaching out to you, what were your initial thoughts about this job?
You know, I knew that I had an interest in it, and a strong interest just because of my familiarity with it, the area, the team, Kyle, and then as the process, even at the early stages, that interest continued to grow. I just kept hearing the things that really I felt were important to me as well. And, here we are.
You've talked about fit and those things that are important. What are a few of those things that really stood out to you that Landry and Kyle told you?
Yeah, I think, first of all, just the vision, a strong vision for what a successful program looks like. Two really bright guys that played in the league as well, that level of experience. And I think just a willingness to ask questions and listen, and kind of a thirst for innovation and creativity, just a lot of things that can make experience unique.
And Kyle is an old friend of yours.
Yeah.
You were his coach here
Right.
and in Utah. It sounds like you guys go way back. How
We
excited
do.
are you just to be back with Kyle?
I'm really excited, and I think he was my coach in Utah more than I was his coach at times. He's someone about the neat thing about this job, this league is, when you spend that much time with someone, as a player or coaches, players, it really provides the opportunity to form lasting relationships, and particularly when you go through the good times and the bad times. And that's what he and I had. And he was at a point in his career too where there was a leadership component that he offered, and he I think really was willing to share things with me that he thought could help me with the group. And I did the same thing with him, and we bounced stuff off each other. And I look forward to doing that again.
When you look back to 10 years ago when you were here with him, did you see a position like this, assistant GM, something Kyle would be doing?
I just saw a guy that never missed. No, I think he was always very curious and interested, not just in kind of the things that maybe a lot of people saw on the surface, but there was why is that happening? What's going on behind that? And it's the way he approached the game, I think, as well, the way the attention to detail with various things. So I was just trying to survive as a coach, and so I hadn't thought that much about that. But in hindsight, when you reflect on it, you can definitely see it.
That leadership quality in him. When you were in Utah, you did an interview where you talked about how the identity of your team stood in your defense. How do you kind of plan to bring that here to Atlanta to just really revamp the defense that this team is playing?
Well, I think, part of your identity is created by what you're able to place emphasis on. And sometimes you also want to play to your strengths, and you want to minimize your weaknesses. So I think, habits, emphasis. I was fortunate to have the Defensive Player of the Year. That's one way to improve the defense. But I think just the general commitment from the guys, and that's an area that we don't have a lot of time to drill a lot of those things and establish those habits. But I think the focus and the intention that we can place on certain things, you'd like to see that help us. But I don't think there's any illusions that we as a team are going to reinvent ourselves in the next. But that doesn't mean we can't get better and really be competitive and compete and win.
Do having guys on defense like Clint Capella, like DeAndre Hunter really excite you as far as this defense goes?
Yeah, I think, anytime you have rim protection like Clint, that's a huge bonus. It impacts the game even in ways that you don't see. It's a deterrent. And then, Dre's got, a unique skill set defensively in terms of his ability to guard multiple positions. I think his strength as well. He's able to both move his feet, and he's physical. So, those two guys definitely, bring some qualities to the defensive end that are unique.
So there's a stat that you're the first coach in more than probably 20 years that has come into an organization at this point of the season. With only 21 games left, what made this time right? And kind of what are your short-term goals for those 21 games of the regular season?
I didn't know. I knew it was unique. I didn't know it was virtually unheard of 20 years ago. I think, in thinking about it, when the job presented itself, the idea of just watching for this last 20 games, I think would have been really hard. Maybe harder on me, than coaching. And I have no illusions about how difficult, it'll be to acclimate and do all those things. I'm going to need help, and I think, the staff, the players, I'm going to listen to them, and there's things that that you'll see and identify. There's really a balance between what can you try to give a team that they can actually absorb in a shorter period of time, or to give them too much and have it be counterproductive. So finding that balance, I think that how you define success is really important, and hopefully you can have both. But for whatever reason, if we've got a tough schedule the rest of the way, we've got teams that are also competing for the playoffs. It's a hard road, but I think in going through that, you're also able to have some additional opportunities and benefits from that.
And when you look down the road, speaking of that success in the future, what are a few words you would use to describe what you hope this team looks like?
I want us to be obviously unselfish. That's something that I think teams are take pride in, and it's not as easy as just kind of saying it and being willing. It's there has to be a discipline with how you play in order to provide those opportunities. You always want to be known as a competitive team, both individually, and as a group. And each individual guy taking that upon himself, being accountable to themselves, and me obviously, being injected into that process, I think, is essential. So those are two qualities right there. I think it's two pretty good qualities if you're, trying to build something that you have a sense for the importance of the group and identify success that way as a team. And then, this is a competitive league and you got to be ready to compete.
Most definitely. And something that helps you to compete is the fan base.
Yeah.
I know that you're familiar with the fans, having coached here, and even just last night's game, the energy levels were really high. But if you had a message to fans, something you want to say to them, what would that be?
Just appreciation. I think, it's hard sometimes because you don't get to talk to fans one-on-one, but you feel them, and as a player and as a coach, the energy that is that's present, is something that it matters. And, to have a fan base that's engaged and supportive, hopefully you can reward them, with playing, at a level that they're supporting.
I know fans are really excited to see you here. Just from seeing all the tweets and Instagram responses, They're very excited to have you back here in Atlanta. We heard you at a team meeting this morning, so you have had a chance to talk to all the players, but are there any conversations you can share with us as to what stood out to you from those conversations?
I kind of shared with them some of the stuff that we've been talking about as far as, they've got to trust me, and that there's nothing that I've done that would, I haven't had an opportunity to earn it, and we've got to trust each other and try to build on that. We talked we talked some basketball, so to speak. Some of the things that that we've been doing, in the last couple games. I wanted them to see themselves and you're doing this. This is really good. Let's do it more. And sometimes you look in a locker room and you see guys' eyes and you get a feel for them. And I think it was that feel, and that that part of the room felt good. It didn't feel like it was my first time sitting in front of them talking.
That's great. It's good to hear.
Okay.
You've scouted this Atlanta Hawks team, Trae Young specifically, but looking at DeJounte Murray coming from the West, you've looked at him many times, I'm sure. I'm sure you have a good breakdown of his game and kind of what he brings to the court. How excited are you to have him as one of your weapons now?
Yeah, I told him today I remember when he was in high school at Rainier Beach, because I'm from Seattle
Right.
as well. And when he was at Washington for a year, and then seeing him grow in the Spurs organization, even, one of the things I think that he brings in addition to, his actual play and his talent on the court is his competitiveness. You can feel he's one of those guys, when you see him doing things, he raises your level. And I'm looking forward to coaching him.
And in the two-headed monster, how about Trae Young? He hit that big buzzer beater last night. How do you plan to use him as a weapon?
Well, first of all, his, the ice in his veins, right?
Right.
You saw it last night, and I think, a lot of it is him continuing to find a balance between him attacking and playmaking, and I think he wants that, and we met a little bit this morning and talked, and I'm looking forward to coaching him, and he's looking forward to being coached.
Yeah, are you good with calling him Ice Trae then? Since
I'll
he
probably
has that
just
ice...
call him Trae.
Just Trae. Okay, we'll stick with that for now. We'll handle the Ice Trae part.
You got that part.
And just to close out, having come out of Duke, we got 2 Duke players here, AJ Griffin,
I know.
Jalen Johnson.
Yeah.
They were under Krzyzewski.
Mm-hmm.
You were too. How do you, kind of continue that Duke connection? Have you talked to them about it?
We haven't yet.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we will. They played for the Coach K, light. I got Coach K when he was
I'm sure they'll love to hear about not like Coach K.
Coach K is Coach K. I'm sure we all, he's had an impact on so many players and so many people, and that there's a shared history there that I'll be excited to hear. Well, I'll tell some stories.
Yeah, I think AJ was part of his last class, so pretty cool connection you have there that goes all the way around.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Coach. We're so lucky to have you, and we're
Thank
happy
you.
for you to be here.
And I'm happy to be here as well.
Thanks.
Thank you.